Kristine and Amanda shared a dorm room in college. Despite Amanda's occasional messiness, they got along well. The school's unusual bunk bed setup had Kristine on the top bunk because she was a lighter sleeper, and Amanda often got up in the middle of the night, making it more practical for her to have the bottom bunk. One night, an incident occurred that Kristine still finds puzzling to this day. It started as a typical evening with both of them immersed in their studies. Kristine was at her desk, meticulously preparing for a significant presentation the next day. Amanda, from her bed, graciously played the role of her audience, offering feedback and asking questions. She even lent Kristine one of her formal tops for the presentation, knowing Kristine didn't have any suitable attire. After their study session, Amanda went to sleep while Kristine continued to review her notes on her laptop from the top bunk. She could tell Amanda had fallen asleep when she started snoring softly. About an hour later, Kristine decided to call it a night, placing her laptop at the foot of her bed before drifting off to sleep. At around 5 a.m., Kristine was startled awake by the sound of someone moving around the room. In the dim light of dawn, she heard Amanda's familiar footsteps. Groggily, she called out her name. Amanda responded with a sleepy Kristine asked if she could still borrow the top for her presentation. Amanda mumbled an affirmative response, and Kristine heard the creak of her closet door opening. Through half-closed eyes, Kristine saw her rummaging in the closet, then waving at her before heading toward the door. The sound of the door closing jolted her further awake. She glanced at her phone to check the time, 5 a.m. It seemed odd, but she assumed Amanda was just making one of her usual early morning bathroom trips. However, a soft snore from below made her heart skip a beat. How could Amanda be in bed if Kristine had seen her leave? Kristine leaned over the edge of her bunk, and there was Amanda, unmistakably asleep under her sheets. Her eyes darted to the closet, which was still ajar. Panic set in. Who had she seen? Kristine quickly climbed down and rushed to the door, peeking into the hallway. It was empty. Confused and frightening, she woke Amanda up, explaining what she had just witnessed. Still groggy, it took Amanda a moment to comprehend. They both checked the room thoroughly. Nothing seemed out of place or missing. Kristine reported the incident to the university police, who reviewed the building's lobby camera footage. The footage revealed nothing unusual. No one had entered or left the dorm around that time. The police found no signs of forced entry and no other reports of similar occurrences. They dismissed it as a possible misunderstanding, but Kristine was certain it was real. The memory of Amanda's wave and the sound of the door closing was too vivid to be a dream or hallucination. To this day, Kristine has no explanation for what happened. Was it a sleep-deprived hallucination, a bizarre prank, or something more sinister? The mystery of that early morning encounter remains unsolved, leaving Kristine to wonder who or what had been in their room. Back in college, during her junior year, Shannon found herself living in a suite on campus with 3 friends. The suite was cozy with 4 dorm rooms, a shared common area, and a small kitchenette. Initially, their friend Jacob lived with them, but he moved off campus to an apartment with a new roommate. The college administration assigned them a new suite mate named Ethan to fill the vacancy. Ethan seemed like an ordinary guy at first. He had short blonde hair, a patchy beard, barely visible eyebrows, and stood at a towering height of 6'4". Ethan was assigned to the room next to Shannon's, and initially, he kept mostly to himself. This arrangement suited Shannon and her friends just fine for the first few days. One afternoon, Shannon returned from class to find Ethan in the living room. He mentioned he needed to share something important. He had parasomnia, a sleep disorder that caused him to talk or yell in his sleep due to night terrors. He wanted them to be aware so they wouldn't be alarmed. Shannon nodded, though she found the conversation more unsettling than reassuring. Curious about whether Ethan had told the others, Shannon texted their group chat, which still included Jacob. None of their friends had heard about Ethan's sleep disorder, and they responded with laughter and confusion. Later, when Shannon's other two sweet mates, Emma and Grace, returned, they gathered in the common room to discuss the new development. As they speculated about why Ethan might have been transferred, he walked in, nodded at them, and disappeared into his room. The three of them exchanged glances and whispered their thoughts, keeping the TV volume high to cover their conversation. That night, Shannon was awakened by a knock at her door. She asked who it was, but there was no answer. She decided to ignore it, suspecting it was Ethan. The next day, she asked Emma and Grace if either of them had knocked on her door, but they both denied it. Jacob, who is still part of their group chat, found the situation amusing. But Shannon was uneasy and hoped it wouldn't become a recurring event. A few nights later, Shannon woke up at 2 a.m. to the sound of footsteps in the hallway and a knock at her door. She didn't respond, certain it was Ethan. This was becoming too much. She texted the group chat, but her friends didn't reply until the morning. They hadn't heard anything, probably because Ethan's room was closest to hers. That day, Shannon decided to confront Ethan. She knocked on his door and asked if he had been knocking on her door at night. Ethan claimed he didn't remember but apologized, explaining that his parasomnia included sleepwalking. He assured her it was harmless, but Shannon wasn't comforted by his words. For a few days, things seemed to calm down, but one night, Shannon woke to strange noises in her room. In the dim light, she saw Ethan standing in the corner, facing the wall and muttering. She called his name, and he turned, saying, "Open the door, open the door." His gaze seemed to pierce right through her. He smiled and laughed as he left her room, leaving Shannon terrified. Unsure what to do, Shannon hesitated. She grabbed her phone to text her friends, but was startled by a loud banging on a door and Ethan's voice screaming, "Open the door." He sounded deranged. Shannon rushed to the common area and saw Ethan pounding on Emma's door. She and Grace hurried over and shook him, trying to wake him. Ethan stopped, looked at them with a blank expression, apologized, and went back to his room. The three friends were in shock, unsure of what to do next. Someone from a nearby room must have called campus security, who arrived shortly. Shannon and her friends explained the situation. Ethan spoke with the officers and then returned to his room. Shannon made sure to lock her door that night. The next day, Ethan was gone, leaving no trace of his presence. Shannon didn't know much about sleepwalking or parasomnia, but what she experienced didn't seem like typical sleepwalking. Whatever was troubling Ethan, she hoped he would find the help he needed. Have you ever experienced anything strange or eerie in a dorm room or shared living space? Share your thoughts below. And if you have had any scary encounters, share your experiences with us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Fearflix for more videos like this. Thanks for watching and see you at the next one.